Hey, it's John Terry. Welcome to another edition of Insights with Vision. I want to take a few minutes in this edition and talk about the numbers you need to know and to share some interesting insights that have come from a recent LIMRA Secure Retirement Institute study and really talk about the opportunity that presents to you as a financial professional. So grab a piece of paper and a pen because you're going to want to make a few notes as we walk through looking at the numbers you need to know. Are you ready? Let's get started. Here's the numbers we want to talk about: 50, 40, 20, 70, 35, 1/3, 60, 3/4, and 53. Let's jump into the numbers and see what they have to say and the opportunity it presents. The first number I want you to write down is 50. Now, why is the number 50 important? There are 50.5 million retirees currently living in the United States today. And based upon study by LIMRA, the next number I want you to write down is 40. And that number represents the increase in retirees above that 50.5 million number we're going to see between 2019 and 2035. Pretty significant number. Matter of fact, write down the number 20 because that represents the additional 20.2 million additional retirees that are going to be joining the ranks of those already retired as we transition and see the last of the baby boomers really transition out of the workaday world and into the world where, as Tom Hegma says, every day is a Saturday. The next number I want you to write down is 70. Now, why is the number 70 important? Because if you take the 50.5 million Americans that are already retired, the 20.2 that are transitioning and moving into retirement, that's almost 71 million Americans. In fact, 70.7, if you want to take the exact number, are going to be retired by 2035. That's a significant opportunity that still exists in the retiree marketplace. And it's something you need to be considering, looking at, and trying to determine the best way to attack this growing problem of the insured that's going to be moving out. Now, this is an issue because of the next number, and that's 35. This 70.7 million consumers that are moving into retirement control nearly $35 trillion in wealth. They're going to need this money to live on during retirement for a long, long time. They're going to need some of this money to pay for chronic health care events because many of them are going to live long enough for those scenarios to really become more pronounced because they're going to be more prone to age-related illness and injury because they're living longer. And then, of course, there's the wealth transfer, the survivorship issues. So what we're looking at with this $35 trillion is wealth preservation, wealth distribution, survivor planning, and generational wealth transfer planning. So there's some unique opportunities with this 70.7 million people for those who will take advantage of it. The next number I want you to write down is 1/3. Now, why is 1/3 important? You've heard me talk about this before. Today's retirees, today's boomers, 65 that are retiring today, are going to spend up to 1/3 of their lifetime in retirement. They're going to need sustainable, guaranteed lifetime income to be able to pay their ongoing living expenses for up to 1/3 of their life. So that planning and making sure that they've got really that safety net of guaranteed income from Social Security, pensions they may have, and the use of annuities to create that paycheck that's going to help them pay for all of the expenses they're going to incur, especially their ongoing living expenses throughout that potentially third of their lifetime they're going to spend in retirement, something that's extremely important. The next number I want you to write down is 60. This number is important because 60% of today's retirees are concerned about Social Security. They're worried about the fact that given the amount of debt our nation has, concerned with all of the volatility and dysfunction that we see in Washington today, what's going to come of Social Security? They see the numbers from the trust fund that says we're going to be depleted and basically out of money by this date, which means that Social Security is only going to have enough dollars coming in from revenues to pay out 75 cents on the dollar for promised benefits. 60%, almost 2/3 of retirees today are concerned about whether or not their Social Security benefits are going to remain the same or they're going to be reduced in the future. Now that number is important because of this number, 3/4. What do I mean by that? Of the 70.7 million Americans retiring, 3/4 of them are going to be relying on Social Security and or some type of pension if they're fortunate enough to have one as their primary sources of income. Of course, you all on this call as financial professionals know There's really only three ways to get guaranteed sustainable income in retirement, and that's Social Security, a pension, or an income annuity that can allow them to enjoy that guaranteed paycheck, in essence, for the rest of their lives. The next number that's important is 53. Now, this number is important because 53% of retirees will end up retiring sooner than planned. And it's often not by choice. It may be a life event that impacts the individual or a family member, but regardless of what happens, 53% of those that were planning to work longer have to leave the workforce early, oftentimes during their prime working years when they're making more money than ever before and having an opportunity to put more and more money away for retirement. All of a sudden, because of a life-changing event, they have to leave the workplace sooner, and they're not able to finish their plan in funding fully their retirement. So all of these numbers together create some unique opportunity. And really my question for you is, what are you going to do with all of this information? Let me share with you quickly an idea. 70.7 million Americans, retired or soon to be retired, are going to need someone just like you to help them make sense of all the numbers, trying to figure out how much money they're going to need in retirement and for how long, what expenses they're going to incur in retirement and for how long, how to set money aside and create a contingency plan in the event a long-term care event occurs. And if you go look at the numbers from the Department of Health and Human Services, we see that about 70% of those 65 and older are going to deal with a long-term care event before they die. A lot of information is out there showing that we need to plan for these contingencies. Looking at the numbers, how do they create a plan to provide income for a surviving spouse? How do they effectively and efficiently engage in wealth transfer to the future generations they're going to leave behind? There's a lot of questions that relate to a lot of numbers, and there's an opportunity for you to sit down and help them make sense out of all the noise. And remember, for many of those retiring today, their retirement could last a long, long time. So as we wrap up, let me share with you a quote from University of Michigan Health and Retirement Study that was published by Watson Towers. This was 26,000 Americans over the age of 50. University of Michigan looked at this group in 2002, in 2005, and again in 2012. And here's a quote from the article, Annuities and Retirement Happiness. And it says this: among retirees with similar wealth and health characteristics, those with annuitized incomes are happiest. And when you think about satisfaction in retirement, here's another key quote I want to share with you as we wrap up today. And it says this, same article: satisfaction is highest among those with high levels of wealth and income who are very healthy and annuitize their income. And the satisfaction results of annuitized income are long-term. And those that had less wealth and were in poor health found the biggest satisfaction from the use of annuities to create guaranteed sustainable income. So if you look at the opportunities that are out there and the problems that people are facing, those of us working in the insurance industry, working with products that bring income solutions like annuities, that bring wealth protection features with life insurance, and bring those important protection features with the long-term care planning solutions available today, you have an opportunity to attack all of these numbers and to bring confidence, to bring peace of mind, and more importantly, to bring a real life solution that's going to help those that are already there and those that are transitioning into retirement be able to enjoy a healthy, a safe, a secure, and a financially profitable retirement so that they don't just survive retirement, they have a chance to thrive in it. So thank you for joining us today. Here's our contact information. If we can be of benefit to you, have an amazing day. We'll see you on the next edition.